July 1st, and the Growing Deer team went to Perryville, Missouri to work on a wildlife and habitat project.
I mean, that plant is very healthy.
But back at the proving grounds, we had some bad news on two fronts.
Growing Deer TV is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops, also by Reconics, Trophy Rock, Muddy Outdoors, Non-Typical Wildlife Solution, Eagle Seed, Nikon, Winchester, Redneck Hunting Blind, Dead Downwind, Record Rack, Antler Dirt, Lacrosse Footwear, Scent Master, Bloodsport Arrows, and Prime Bows by G5.
Just a few minutes away from Mr. Robinson's property, I decided to return to the property after Brad created a plan several years ago. Want to see how they've done at implementing the plan and what we can do to tweak it to improve the deer and habitat.
That's a pretty windy road.
Mr. Robinson's been dedicated to managing his farm for improved hunting and better quality deer and turkey.
Ideally, I'd like to see a 5-7 foot plane just sweeping over the place.
During the past few years, Mr. Robinson and his crew have created some great bedding areas by harvesting the timber and allowing the native vegetation to recolonize those areas, as well as establishing several high-quality food plots. So why we want to burn in August and September is all the carbohydrates, all the energy in a tree is up here right now. It hasn't started transporting it back down to the root system. And I would consider this a huge success if we killed, let's say, 70 to 75% of the saplings out here. You won't ever get them all. You just never get it hot enough to get them all. Creating bedding areas by harvesting timber is not a once and done operation. That's especially true in hardwood areas because those hardwood root systems are very resilient and they will send up hardwood sprouts that grow rapidly and shade out the high quality native vegetation within just a couple of years. That's what we're seeing at Mr. Robinson's place, so we prescribed a growing season fire which will stimulate more grasses and forbs and knock back the amount of hardwood sprouts that are colonizing that area. A growing season fire, say from late July through late September, every 3 to 5 years, will do a wonderful job of maintaining that area in grasses and forbs, making it a feeding and bedding area. Like last year when it was a real drought. Because right now there's so much water in little stump holes and everything else. Another improvement Mr. Robson and his crew has made is establishing wildlife-sized ponds throughout the property. These ponds are well designed, just large enough where they won't go dry in a severe drought, but small enough deer are very comfortable at drinking in them during daylight hours. Putting a lot of his energy on food, which is really important when you have a farm that's primarily covered in timber. Just like here at the proving grounds, the clover is very strong during the early growing season till about July when it gets pretty dry and the clover starts going in resistance or dormant mode to survive through the dry months and kick in strong in the fall. It was obvious deer had browsed on the clover heavily before we had visited, but we're switching more over to the soybeans at this time of year. Some of the soybean plots at Mr. Robinson's property had been protected by electric fence. This simply allows the beans to get large enough to handle the browse pressure that might occur when it's the most attractive food source in a large wooded area.
I mean, that plant is very healthy. Those nodules are telling me it's doing what it needs to do. You know, the air we breathe is 78% nitrogen. It's taking nitrogen out of the air and what we call fixing it, making it available for the plant to use. And those nodules, you can see a bunch more forming out here on the end, are what does that. That's where the bacteria are colonized.
Given that his beans are almost waist tall on me, I suggested that they take down all or a portion of the fence, allow deer to have access to that great source of protein while antlers are developing and those does are producing milk for their fawns. Once the Eagle Seed forage soybeans reach that state and they're getting plenty of soil moisture, they tend to grow faster than the deer can browse them down. Here too, we gained a couple, 50. Some of those survived. 2 more recruit in or whatever. Easy numbers here. Mr. Robson, I'm a big fan of labeling each camera site because you're going through nighttime pictures from different properties like we do, whatever. We can't know where it is all the time, so having this number here is really plus. But you've taken a step further. What have you done here?
Yeah, along with the dimensioning of our sign is 2 foot square, and the hash marks are in 12-inch centers to give you a frame of reference for identifying the rack size of a buck when you're evaluating pictures.
You're not guessing near length or something. You've got a known scale, got a bachelor group of bucks in here in August doing a camera survey, and you know exactly what 6 inches is compared to the deer. So you had a 6-inch marker all the way around the sign. You could compare the beam length or tine length or ear size and get a very accurate estimate of antler size. We will certainly include that and other tips we learned from Mr. Robinson as we work with future landowners throughout the Whitetails range. Back at the proving grounds, we're always learning and refining our techniques. You may recall a few weeks ago, we treated some smaller clover food plots with the backpack sprayer. A few of the weeds were not impacted by the cocktail of herbicides we used on that treatment. As many species of weeds mature, they become less susceptible to the effects of herbicide. In those cases, mowing or doing what we do, going into the plot and individually treating, if you will, mowing down those weeds with a weed eater can save millions of weed seeds being produced and a lot of headaches in the future. It's certainly not as efficient to go in with a weed eater and treat individual weeds as it is to walk through or drive an ATV through rapidly and spray the whole plot, but the savings in the future of not having millions of that similar weed in your plot is well worth the energy. Treating weeds can almost always be accomplished by one system or another, but I've yet to figure out a way to make it rain when I need it. Throughout much of the Whitetails range, they're very wet this year. Crops aren't being planted, there's water standing in the fields, but that's not the case here at the proving grounds. As you can tell by this pond, it's been a long time since we've had a good rain here at the Missouri Proving Grounds. Without adequate water, deer are certainly stressed, but the plants are stressed and nutrient deprived, and deer or turkey can't express their full potential. This growing season started with ample soil moisture, our crops got up strong, and deer and other forms of wildlife benefited from those crops for a good month and a half. During that time, most fawns are born, mothers are making that critical first milk, and antlers are taking shape. If we don't have relief from this drought soon, it won't surprise me to see a little bit shorter tine length than average here at the proving ground. Managers can always moderate the impacts of a drought by keeping that deer density low enough so they're not right at the edge at the maximum food the property can produce, and by using good techniques like we shared last week about planting beans early and letting that crown get established. I hope you're experiencing good growing conditions at your proving grounds, but whatever they are, take some time to get outside and enjoy creation, and most importantly, listen to the Creator. Thanks for watching GrowingDeer.tv.
Man, I'm videoing myself good. You gotta stop recording for a minute, man.
Nothing is more palatable to deer than early beans.